Good afternoon, council members. Cameron Benson, city manager. I think the mayor will be in later and the vice mayor is busy doing something else. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the workshop for you and we can begin some discussion. So if you want, let's stand for the invocation. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance and then we'll give a little background on the items we'll be discussing today. Thank you.
Yeah, the invitation.
Let us all bow our heads. Father God, we thank you for this day, for this is a day that you have made and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. We ask, Heavenly Father, that you join us in this meeting today. Let all our hearts and our minds and our spirits come to a uniform and one agreement, becoming one mind representative of the people that you have given us the authority to have governance over. These and all blessings I ask in your name. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon again, council members. We're here in a workshop forum. Thank you. You got me? Okay. We're here in a workshop forum to discuss the following items. One, regarding the Miami Gardens radio station, and two, the request regarding broadcasting of public meetings. Keep in mind on the last issue, there is an item on the agenda, the regular scheduled council meeting, to move forward with the manager. If approved, the manager will move forward with looking into and doing a detailed analysis of what public TV we can bring forward to the city council for city council meetings that will be brought back to you sometime in the near future. So today we are going to be, we need to discuss or get some direction regarding the Miami Gardens radio station. And I'm not sure you can, but if the item is on tonight to move forward with the analysis for the television station, you may want to save that for that regular scheduled meeting. Having said that, staff is here to answer any questions, and also we do have some brief information regarding each of those items if you would like that to be given to you this evening. I'll ask for direction from the council on that one.
And I must, you all need to designate one of you to preside over the meeting since the mayor is absent and the vice chair. As far as decorum and the order of speakers.
I designate Councilwoman Wilson, since she's the most senior up here.
I agree.
That's all can be done by consensus.
So do I get to do the mallet?
Yeah.
There's no.
Y'all in trouble.
You gotta take the second piece with it. Don't just not just one.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask is, this is the first time I've chaired a meeting, so if you guys could guide me through this process, I would appreciate the support. Okay?
Yes. Are you on mic? Is your mic on?
Yes, it's on.
Okay.
You guys can hear me okay? Great. All right, so we're here to discuss the maintenance or the continuation of our radio. And I think that was brought by Councilwoman Iguodaro. So if you'd like to go first,
Okay,
please.
thank you, Councilwoman Wilson. So I'm really about branding and marketing. And I just think it's important that as a city, we have some level of confidence in a medium, whether it's radio, whether it's TV, to ensure that we are transparent and that we get the information to the people. And so when it was proposed to redirect funds from the radio, Miami Gardens Radio, to our own initiative. I just thought that we needed something more tangible in terms of calling it our own. For example, let's say if we're doing a marketing campaign, and once it's done, then what medium do we really have? You know, and so that was my concern.
Any comments regarding the radio?
No, Councilwoman, Mr. Manager mentioned that he had some handouts or information on both the radio and the,
We can give a brief update on where we are. Some of that information, we've talked to each of you in your individual meetings over the last several days. So we certainly can discuss that or give you those briefings again. And then you guys can deliberate from there. Whatever the pleasure is, Madam Chair.
Okay.
yeah, I think, Councilwoman, I think I agree with Councilwoman Nigodaro that we need to provide our residents different avenues with how we get information out and as we create and work to continue the brand of what the city is made of. I just think realistically looking at the numbers that our internet radio station has produced since it started just doesn't make sense to continue. Now, does that mean that we stop with exploring contemporary and modern day edge technology to tell the story of Miami Gardens, to get the information out to our residents? No, that just means that we're going down a different route as it relates to making sense financially. So that's just my only issue I have a problem with. Should this internet radio station been the numbers were adding up and making sense, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. I think the reason why we are having this conversation is because according to what was provided to us by staff, the numbers are not adding up, and it doesn't make sense to continue to invest in something that is obviously not working for what it was created for. And that's to be transparent and get the information out to the residents.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I mean, I agree with my colleague, and I have no issues, whether it's radio or TV. It's important. I think if, for those who may be listening, the idea of a Miami Gardens TV, I mentioned that during the last meeting, because it was proposed a while back. I think you were on the council. And so I'm happy that, as my colleague stated, that we are keeping up with the technology. And so I'm excited to see what we can come up with collectively. Thank you.
Like that.
Well, I have to agree with my colleagues here, Councilwoman Igodaro and Councilman Robert Stevens. I mean, I think that we are moving at a rapid pace. Technology is just cutting edge right now. And, you know, the data and the numbers were provided to us and the listenership is just not there. Many residents had no idea that we had a radio station. You have to download an app. Some of our residents are not as savvy with technology as others are, right? But we all know when you pick up the remote control, you hit the power button, you put it on a designated channel, you get to see everything at your fingertips. And so as the city continues to move forward with modern day technology, and as we continue to push the story of Miami Gardens, I think that the return on investment on the government access channel is going to benefit everyone.
Madam Chair.
That's okay.
I just want to add to it because I think it's very important that we find different avenues. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I think it's very important that we find different avenues to continue to get the story of Miami Gardens out to our residents, the work that we're doing, the great work that we're doing. And our public affairs department has been doing a tremendous job. And I just feel like now giving them the opportunity to go different routes, to be more up to date with what technology has to offer, this would be a really great direction as we move forward in the new fiscal year for the city of Miami Gardens. And that's all I have to say about that.
You know, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
thank you for joining us, Mr. Mayor. The only concern I have with whether it's the radio, TV, whatever, tool or instrument we use to get our stories out is who's going to be doing that? And who's making the decision? And once we collectively decide, my only request is that they come before us and present themselves so that we can make an informed decision and the best decision that's good for our residents. That's my only concern with whichever way we go. Who will we be? They need to come before us and let us meet and greet them and make a decision collectively.
I can respond to that. And so it really is simple. We already have an IT department. We already have a public affairs department. And so what they are currently doing by pushing out the information on social media, they're just not going to be putting it on the government access channel, right? And the folks who are in IT would be responsible for maintaining the television and doing the IT aspect of it. So public affairs and IT would collaborate and work together to make this happen.
You know,
Madam Chair, can I say, go ahead, you go ahead.
Okay.
You got one finger up?
yeah,
That's 1 second.
no way. Okay. It's funny how I get time limited and he doesn't. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna change the RAT now, right now. Okay, the thing that I understand both sides of it, and I agree. I think that we need as much access to the public as we can get. However, I don't think we need to do that without a strategic plan. You know, if we don't really have a plan in terms of how this thing works, how it works out, what is the cost at each phase of its uploading, then we could walk into something and hit a stone wall. I remember when the radio station was established, but there was no real plan to really follow it through to fruition. There was no scaffolding of what our public relations looks like. Scaffolding from social media, YouTube, our own email communication. You know, there is no way in which we could take a look at the public perception or outreach and be able to say, this is what we plan to do. So I know that we are a very, very bright council, but we've got to move into being systemic in how we plan to execute what it is that we want to see executed, so that the precedent of establishing excellence in terms of the work that has been done, that it continues. You know, I was having a conversation with someone and I said, we are no longer an adolescent. We're no longer toddlers as we look at ourselves as a city. We really are moving into young adulthood. In a couple of years, we'll be 20 years old. And when I turned 20, my mama started saying stuff like, you grown now, right? And grown folks act a different way. So when we look at the maturity of the city, we are a city of ideas, but we are also growing where we have to plan for our ideas so that the tradition of excellence can continue. So who's to say that we can't have all of it? Who's to say that we can't have radio access and television access and social media access? Who's to say we can't have it all? The question is, what does that mean for us in terms of cost, in terms of staff, in terms of the whole nine? And really, I don't know. I don't have an answer for it.
And
I think it's gonna take time for us to put this plan together. And it can't be done like tonight. You can't do it today and say, this is what we plan on doing, this is how we want it done. We're gonna have to take a little bit of time to map this thing through and think it out on how we want our radio station, what's going to be the programming on the radio or television stations, and then move on from there. But I just don't think that we in a position right now to do this like today. I'm not against a radio or a TV station, but we need to take some time to kind of map it out, have a plan as to which type of action are we going to do, what we're going to do.
And I agree with you all, and you know, I have our esteemed city manager, you know, this is where he will come into play, right? And speak to other cities and put, you know, his best foot forward in seeing how much this is going to cost. Because with anything, right, research is required, right? And so this is really not rocket science. I've spoken to 9 cities who've done it: the city of Hollywood, the city of North Miami Beach, Coral Gables. And so honestly, if they can do it, well, why not us, right? If they've done it, we are not starting something new. You know, we are just continuing something that other cities have. Miami-Dade County, I watch the BCC meetings all the time on their government access channel, right? This is how I'm able to see what's going on the county level, right? And so it allows our residents to be a lot more informed, okay? And so this is where our city manager would do his part, him and his staff would reach out to other cities, look at best practices, reach out to these cable companies, see what's feasible. And so, and then they'll come back to us and say, hey, these are the pricing, these are the prices, this is what it's gonna take. And then the city council will decide if we move forward, but nothing beats a failure but a try.
Right, well,
I think it would seem to me that we have to do a direction or make a direction that this Trina, okay? I mean, this is Councilwoman Wilson. Comprehensively, when we had one of the things that I've had a problem with is that there can be anything said in the community and it could be full of lies. And yet this city doesn't have a voice to dispute what is fact or manufactured, right? So to me, our television, our radio, our social media, all of those things have to be about shaping truth from fact, shaping and underscoring the vision and the mission of the city, our goals and our objectives, and about pushing that forward. So I don't see it as one thing. I see it comprehensively. What does our communications department and public relations department look like? Who's the officer that responds? Who's the officer that handles our news, our news thing? Like what does that look like for us? Because again, we're no longer an infant as a city. We are moving into becoming a major really the epicenter of Black culture and entertainment in South Florida.
So I'm gonna ask a question. Has anyone ever accessed the government access channel here?
Well, sure, I have, but go ahead to your follow-up.
And so the reason why I ask is because with the government access channel, if you read the state statute, it says that you have to program for about 5 or 6 hours a day. I don't remember the exact number, but everything, when we're scrolling through social media and everything that we see that they're putting out about, this council person's having an event, or the city is having a walk for breast cancer, the council meeting is being advertised, everything that we're already doing on social media is now going to be on TV. And then so it's not gonna be any reporting, like we're reporting live or anything like that, but more so if there's a hurricane coming, just the same way that we send that information out on Instagram and Facebook, now a resident can see it on their television. If there's gonna be some road closures, we put all that on television. So it's not gonna be anything live. The only things that are gonna be live are the council meetings, which they're already watching on the Zoom/YouTube platform.
I think, and I think that's a brilliant idea. I'll say this and then I'll say what I think, the direction in which we should go, what I think we should go in. I think whether we go away from the radio station and direct the manager to explore what it would take to go to television, that cannot and it will not be the only two avenues that we would use to get information to the residents,
We can't.
because it's not enough.
It's not.
There's people who don't have TVs or don't watch TVs. I don't have cable. I stream. You know, and there's people who don't have radio stations but want TV. So the two shouldn't be the end for as it relates to getting information out to our residents. We are charged with being very very up to date with ways that we get this information out. I think in everything that we do here in the city of Miami Gardens, we owe our residents that, and we're doing it. But there's time for us to enhance what we're doing, and that's why we're having the conversation.
I agree.
I think what the direction that we should go in, looking at the numbers of what the radio station look like now, is directing those funds to enhance our communication in whichever our staff propose to us, whether it be, you know, print materials or whatever the case may have you. I think we need to direct those funds, and then it doesn't hurt to explore what it would take to have a government channel for the city of Miami Gardens.
I think we're right back at square one, though. To me, and in my mind, instead of just saying either or, we should have a comprehensive recommendation from the manager. And he ought to be looking at radio, television, social media, all of those avenues as a comprehensive way to see how we can communicate with a price tag. And what will it take to have our access channel, blah, blah, blah. This is what it takes. This is what our annual projections would be. What does it take to run a radio? And then we can make a better and more informed decision about how we can, or what we can embrace at this stage in our development. Because I think in doing so, we will make a far better and far more informed decision in terms of whether which avenue we choose to go in.
So you're saying weigh all the options, even including what we're doing now?
Yes, sir.
Weigh all the options.
Yeah, are we talking about this? Are we talking about, like you say, live streaming? You know, is that more cost effective? Are we saying that our government access television is the way we think better accesses our audiences based on the demographics that a cable channel could give us? And say Miami Gardens has a high viewership. And so public access television is better suited for you than live streaming, because people don't live stream there. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry.
No. I was just about to say, I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think exploring and looking at it holistically is a bad idea at all, because as I mentioned before, radio and television is not the only avenues, right? So I think looking at a bigger picture. However, for the sake of this budget, we have to determine if we want to continue to go into the avenue of keeping the radio station. Am I correct?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
That's correct, Council.
So that's why I propose that we pull away from the radio stations based off the numbers on what we're producing now, and then directing the city manager and his staff to look at the picture holistically of what it would take to enhance our communications from our public affairs area.
So now when we say pull off, are we saying suspend operations for now?
For the radio station.
Huh?
Correct.
Until we can get a comprehensive whatever?
Correct.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying.
all right. Okay. I just wanted to.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, you know, I hear both sides, all of the sides. When I think about what my colleague, Councilwoman Campbell said, I think it's important for us as a city, you know, and I agree with my colleague, Councilwoman Wilson, that we have to, as a city, own our own identity as it relates to what we want to put out. And if we're going to be a modern city, and we are, we must look at all of the options, because that is what modern cities do. Every modern city has a radio and a TV. Bottom line, they live stream, they do all of it. Who is to say that if in fact we do go the route of Miami Gardens TV, that it would not draw the numbers that we need for the Miami Gardens radio? We just don't know. But we have to have something that we call our own and something that we are in control of, and look at the financial aspect of it and look at the cost of staff, having to put in hours to make whatever we decide work. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
If I had to make a decision, I would say, I do, I would say the $11,000 for the radio goes toward the study. And hiring an independent industry analyst to best of all tell us what are the most cost-effective ways for us to go. And that way we depersonalize it, because once again, for me, I like them both, right? But the numbers on the radio doesn't say sustainability. But the question is, did we have the right people? Like what were we doing? Same thing with social media. We've been growing exponentially, but the staff hasn't necessarily kept up with the growth. And so you come in with a new team and everybody's got, what you call those things, graphic design. And now we don't have, we got a graphic designer that's overwhelmed because you got a team of people that's working at a different level. So we've got to assess a whole lot of things differently here. Otherwise, the burden of running this city may outweigh us really having the opportunity to reorganize ourselves in a way that I think is effective. So, I mean, I'm not here to say that like the reallocation of those funds here, but I do know that the city manager would have to advise if we're going to do a study. I don't know the way to pay for it. I don't know how the dollars are allocated in that way. Frankly, I don't think that this is the format for us to get into a discussion about it. But I do know that before I would like to vote on something, I'd like to vote intelligently based on some information.
And so, Councilwoman Wilson, I have to disagree with you about having a study done to see if we need this.
No, not that we need this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I don't think we should allocate $11,000 towards a study for this. Mr. Manager, you came from the city of Hollywood, right?
That's correct.
And when you were at Hollywood, the government access channel was there, correct? As a matter of fact, Hollywood has Comcast and AT&T.
That's correct.
So give us your expertise on how that was done. This is not rocket science. Other cities have done it. It is not something of cities who are smaller than us. The city of North Miami Beach has 44,000 residents and a budget smaller than ours. Now, I don't know what the cost is, but it is our city manager's job and his administration to do the research. We don't need any outside people to pay them to do the research when we have brains and talent right here who can do that work. It's a matter of speaking to the governmental affairs folks at Comcast and Adelphi and AT&T. I've had 10 years of government experience, so I know this stuff. It's a matter of reaching out to the vendors that they all use and have them coming out and taking a look and providing us with quotes to see what is more effective. We need audio, we need visual. This is stuff that City Manager Cameron Benson can do, Deputy City Manager Craig Clay can do, Assistant City Manager Vernita Nelson can do, in the staff. We don't have to pay anyone to do that.
Councilwoman, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Councilwoman Wilson, correct me if I'm wrong, was alluding to having someone to come in to see if we can do a television.
Right.
I think she was speaking of holistically.
A study?
Not necessarily a study,
But that's what she
a
said.
plan.
Yeah, that's why I said I didn't mean a study. But what I'm
Correct, but a
saying is-
plan as to what it would take to enhance communication across the board.
Forward.
So television, radio, social media presence, just enhancing our public affairs area as it relates to the city.
So
I
I
don't
think
think
that's
it was
where we
the-
at right now.
Yeah, I don't think it
I
was
think
just
that's where
about
we
the
at right now, that the
television.
instructions were given to our city manager to proceed with looking into what'll be beneficial for the city to get our story and our information out there to the public. whether it's TV, whether it's radio, whether it's social media, however. So are we all in agreement with that? And I guess for the numbers for the radio station shows that there was only how many people that listened to the radio station?
I think on average is maybe 8 to 9 folks.
And if that's the case, and it's only my opinion, guys, y'all got to vote on it. But then I don't think that we need to have that money allocated for the radio station.
I agree.
I agree. How many people here have the Miami Gardens app? Raise your hand. 2. And 1 person is from public affairs, and so it's part of her job to have the app.
You know,
Come
but-
on.
So it's not that we're doing away with the radio station.
Right,
We're
we're just saying we're gonna.
We're gonna
put
look
it-
into,
Right.
it might be the possibility that we do TV, radio, print, whatever.
Right, but for
But
the.
let's
fa-
give
but-
them the opportunity to get the information and come back to us with that information.
Sure.
And
But
then-
for the sake of the budget,
Well, for the sake of the budget, I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
that we go ahead and do away with the $11,000.
I
to
agree.
the
I
radio
agree.
station. And then we all vote on that right now. Well,
No.
that's my vote.
No, this is a workshop. so we
Workshop.
can't
It's a
vote.
Okay,
workshop.
but
We have
can
to
I
wait for
make
the
a,
budget hearing.
but hold up now. Because we need a timeline. See,
We could come back mid-year, because we gotta
Amen.
come
So
back
what's
mid-year.
mid-year? What's
Mid-year
mid-year?
be April sometime.
no, not, that ain't.
Before
mid-year.
that,
That's too
I
long.
propose before that. That's too
Yeah,
long.
yeah. We, mid-year, it should be what, about, December, January?
well, that's not mid-year,
That's
but
not
if that's the
mid-year.
year, if that's the time
What's 6 months
frame,
after, what's 6 months, away from?
6 months would be.
Would be around April,
That's about April, okay.
yeah.
Well, why so long though?
Because that's when you can amend the budget. So if they came back, and we had to have the amendment to the budget to include radio or television or whatever the case may be, that would give us the opportunity to do that. Is that true?
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor,
go ahead, Mr.
Mayor, let's do that. Let's do this. Let me look at everything. I'll bring something back prior to the end of the year. We only have 1 meeting in December, so our target, the December date for bringing back an item for discussion of the holistic approach we can take regarding the information you guys just discussed. That's not a problem. I can bring that back. If there needs to be some allocation of funds going forward, then we will address that at the mid-year point. But I believe I would rather have you all look at an overall plan first, tear it up and down, how you want to get to, because you're gonna find yourself this box A and box B work, but box C and D don't work. Whatever that is, then we can bring that back. We'll talk about the December, maybe another meeting, talk about it, and then we can identify the funds going forward. I think waiting till mid-year is too long.
Yeah, I'm
I
much
agree.
comfortable with that timeline.
Okay.
Yes.
The minimum to keep the radio station, just the bare minimum was around 3,000, if I remember from our last,
That's correct.
okay, so it would take about 3,000 to,
And that's bare minimum.
Yes.
I mean, that's basically turning on the switch or doing a couple of things here and there, and that would be it.
But what does bare minimum mean? Like, what does that entail?
Tamara, I tell you what, let me have Mr. Clay answer.
The allocation, am I on? Okay. The allocation includes about $8,000 for technical support and maintenance. So depending on how much of that you use or not use will determine how much you spend on an annual basis. The $3,000 and covers all the licenses, things of that nature that we need in order to run the station. I would tell you that you will need some level, obviously, of technical support and maintenance, but if you were to separate the 11.5 out that is budgeted, 8,100, I believe, is for technical support and maintenance. The other is to run the station.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
to make sure I understand the point you just made, Mr. Clay, with the bare minimum and the allocation of the 8,000 to run it, if we run it full time, So when we vote on this budget at our budget meeting in the next hour or so, we will be allocating those dollars to be spent to do just that. Is that correct?
The dollars to run the radio station are included in a larger line item. They're included in your professional services line item in public affairs. So if you gave us the direction to redirect those funds to other things, they could stay where they are in the line item. So you would not wreck your line item budget. We would just follow the direction that we are provided as to where to spend the allocation.
Can I get clarity?
Go ahead.
Okay, so if we were to, if Councilwoman Ighodaro said, I am going to give you $3,000 out of my public affairs account for the radio, right? Does that mean who has control?
The city,
Okay, and so the programming will still be by whom?
the city.
Okay. Now, you know that got to be real clear,
Got to be what?
real clear,
Absolutely,
Real clear.
yeah.
absolutely.
But if we voted against that, or voted against the radio station, that can't happen.
Then it won't happen. That's
Yeah, no,
correct.
I'm understanding that.
Yeah.
But her proposal is that in order to maintain and keep the radio station alive, as opposed to totally banding it, she would pay the $3,000 to maintain the licensure, right? Even though it may be inoperable, we wouldn't lose the licensure that allows us to operate as a radio station. And should the study come back, or not the study, the plan come back, and it's recommended that we include the radio station, we don't have the upstart cost again.
I'm not sure if that's correct.
You think it's is, or you don't think?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I will have, let me think that one through. I don't think that would be.
Spinning my head.
Was that?
Spinning.
I was saying all the phones that are going off.
Oh,
Right. So you'll check into that
yeah, let me
for us?
check into that one, yeah.
Okay, then, so as a part of this, let us be clear that we shouldn't allow the licensure to be lost until we are for sure that we don't want it, right?
Well, we're sure. We're the radio right now. What we're proposing. What we're proposing is that we collectively making the agreement for the sake of this budget that we go away from the $11,000 that's allocated for the radio station, giving directives to the manager and his team to look at holistically what it would take for different platforms, radio, TV, social media,
Right, I got
X,
that.
Y, and Z by December.
I got that.
They're going to come back to us in December with a plan.
I got
So what
that.
are we holding on to?
What I'm saying is, isn't there a certain amount of licenses that you have to get to operate a radio?
Yeah, but once you pay for it. So once you start paying for it, if you decide to do it again, you just start paying for it.
I know, but what's the upstart cost again?
Mr.
It's
Mayor,
not an upstart, it's a license you pay for. It's
Yeah, that's the
Mr.
cost
Mayor.
I'm talking about.
Go ahead.
Mr. Clay,
So you have a music license that we would pay for. There is a host. There is a platform subscription called radio.co. And there is, well, that's it. The music licenses, the host,
And
the
those are about how
subscription.
much?
That's about the 3,000.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay.
So if you guys don't have a problem with losing the 3,000, right? And then paying it again, should they come back and say, hey, we recommend that you guys do a podcast?
So I have a problem with losing the 3,000 because we are doing a disservice to our residents. Let's not forget that this is taxpayer dollars that we are utilizing, and we have to be very careful how we use these funds. This radio station is not reaching anyone. No one knows about that. I thought the radio station was on the radio, and when I asked my analyst, what station is it on? She said, no, you have to download an app. I'm like, what? No one knows about this radio station. So what are we holding on to? I'm not comfortable with exploring this and holding on to it and paying $3,000 a month until we figure out what it is that we want to do. It's not fair to the taxpayers. This money can be allocated somewhat to something else, like fixing the gate over at the senior center, or government access television, or mailers that'll be mailed out to the residents with information. I'm just not comfortable with just holding on to taxpayer money and just waiting to see what happens. The radio reaches no one. No one wants the radio station.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Okay, my question is, and whomever can answer this question, preferably the Madam Attorney or the city manager, how can anyone up here that's sitting up here, a council person, at the point where we're at the budget meeting, do a motion to do away with the radio station, and we take a vote and be through, and that's it? How can we take a vote? That's all I need to know.
That can happen once you get into the budget hearing. That can be done, because there will be other amendments being proposed by the manager, and so that could be a motion to amend the budget to do what you just said.
And that's the instructions.
Yep, that's
That's
it.
what we do. We vote on that during the budget.
Yep.
We can't vote on it now, so we vote on it during the budget. So all hearts and minds are clear now?
All hearts and minds are clear.
So we got the recommendation to the,
I think he understands what we made a recommendation
Okay.
for him to.
Mr. Mayor and council members, I'm clear on what you want me to do, and I'll bring that back in December, and then give you a timeline from there. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? That being said, meeting adjourned.